But today is actually a crappy day. I'm like, dude, everything you've ever said doesn't happen. What are you doing? You'd like to be able to shank people now and then, right? I'm going up there to get the car the heck out of there. Well, what's up, people? So today I am on the road going to pick up the Lycan Hypersport build for Genius Garage. The car's been away for the last 2 months at a paint place, getting finalized and finished and ready to go, and really excited to bring it back so the students can do their thing and it continue for them to grow and get jobs and move on with that chapter. Obviously a huge amount of work and an amazing car. But today is actually a crappy day that I'm not happy about. And the reason being is the car has not been touched. And we have lost 2 months. So you might say, Casey, what happened, man? You weren't on it as a leader. Well, maybe in a matter of speaking, you're right. But when you get totally misled and lied to for a few months, then it's time to punch out. And now's the time to punch out. So we are going to be getting it painted somewhere else and finalizing and be amazing. And today I'm not going to say where it is or who it's involved with, but I am going to tell a vague story because this is a huge learning lesson for me, partially due to the nature of doing YouTube, partially due to the nature of any entrepreneurial and making new relationships, and ways that you basically end up getting taken advantage of, whether that is actively by people or passively by people. It can be the same effect. So a lot of you may have noticed that in the beginning of 2020, I was wanting to open up a new Genius Garage, give opportunity in the Columbus area. A friend of mine, really cool guy, wanted to lead a Genius Garage. He was thinking about buying a car or donating money so that he can do it. He just loves what's going on. And I said, I tell you what, dude, that's the right mindset, and you're a true leader. I will send a car down and you can run a Genius Garage down there. We just have to get space donated. And long story short, I'm just gonna cut to the chase because I wanna get on to the story with today. A unscrupulous fellow who may or may not sell lots of cars that has a space that's perfect for Genius Garage suited, said that he would donate it. And what the guy really wanted, because it makes him look like a big shot and everybody thinks he's cool. So he said, yeah, we'll do this. And we bring the car down and get tools down and getting ready. And of course, COVID struck. So, that kind of pushed things back. But the reason where you kind of get taken advantage of and screwed, and I think I totally missed my exit because that's 275, great. Where you get screwed is, that's when I had the turbine Batmobile. And the guy really wanted the turbine Batmobile on display at his place where he may or may not sell lots of cars. So I go, I tell you what, if you sell the Batmobile, totally cool, you can have it on display, we'll do Genius Garage, it'll be great. He says yes. Well, come to find out, they can't even legally sell somebody else's car because that's consignment and that's illegal in Ohio. So even though they list it at a place that may or may not sell cars, they do that. They do a half-hearted job of selling it to where if they get low-hanging fruit, then they can do it and get a commission and whatever and make money and look like a hero. But they didn't really actually want to sell it. They just played me as a patsy to do it so they could have it on display, promote people, get people to come out, which you can see through other people's YouTube videos that were coming out, and listen to the song and dance from their people. And then when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, we can't sell it, come pick it up. I'm like, whoa. Oh, and also we don't want to do Genius Garage, come get your stuff there too. I'm not even kidding you guys. It was total bull crap, and it takes advantage of me, frankly, as being in the position of a YouTuber, takes advantage of Genius Garage, that's for darn sure, wastes our time and money in trusting somebody like that, and I did it because of somebody else, and that sort of thing happens. No matter what it is in the world, you can get things in writing, but at the same time too, it still comes down to, you can have wealthy people have lawyers to defeat things in writing, and it really comes down to somebody's words and relationships. And that's where it's tough of being an entrepreneur, because when you're an entrepreneur or you're in business, you have to form new relationships to get something going on. As another example, and I'm coming right back to the Lycan because that's kind of the story of today, and I'm on my way, so hopefully I got enough juice on this camera to end the video, and we'll see how it goes. My normal upholstery guy was just way too busy this winter, and I needed to get the seats redone in my Porsche 944 with the leftover Pasha fabric I had from the 928 build. So I found a new guy that I think can do it, and he's like, no problem. And it's also kind of funny because he has the exact same voice and accent as the character Watto from the first Star Wars prequel. You know, that little blue guy that flies around with little Anakin Skywalker that has a junkyard? He's like, your Jedi mind tricks still don't work on me. So I take it to Watto, and he was supposed to tell me how much it was going to cost literally like 3 days from then. A week goes by, nothing. I call him. 2 weeks go by, nothing. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to tell me, oh, we'll have it done. So it was supposed to be done that week. Next thing you know, 5 weeks have gone by, and it takes me too much time just to go pick them up and find somebody else to go there. So I'm like, I got to get this done. And just time and time and time, eventually I get ticked. I'm like, dude, everything you've ever said doesn't happen. What are you doing? So I'm going to try to pick those up on the way back, and I pray that the guy didn't screw them up. And the other trick that happens with really crappy people in cars and stuff, they'll say they give you an estimate. They never do. They string you on forever. Then just go ahead and do the work anyway. And then if you're pissed off or you don't want to pay for it because they're screwing you, then they just do all the things they can through law to protect it and put liens on stuff anyway and basically force you into paying. So that's how unscrupulous shops can screw you, and it's difficult. So you need to recognize when something like that's going on and give it crap and decide whether it's worth it or not. He finally did tell me a price, so now it's just whether it works. So the Lycan, the story, here's how it goes. Earlier in the year, I meet a gentleman, nice guy. Do you want to say anything? He happens to be the camera person. He doesn't want any of this. And he introduces me to somebody who owns, was it supposed to be multiple, like franchise, a big body shop, or just one? Who owns a big body shop. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they do big things in the car world and connecting with people. He's a big shot, and he's looking at houses and all this. And the story works, and I, trust the guy. So I connect with this dude through a FaceTime. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds like great publicity. I like Genius Garage. I like that. We can paint this. It'll be a great way to highlight our business with the social media you have. I mean, that's obvious. When you start getting big social media with what's going on Genius Garage, through VinWiki, through my own channel, we're talking millions of views. So in that circumstance, it really is worth it. And obviously, they're helping out a nonprofit because while I could teach students to paint, that's not our jam. It's an engineering nonprofit. So they said yes to it. Later in the year, I reconnect with him as we're getting closer to having the project done, and it took me a minute and he's like, yeah, we'll do it, let's do it. And we're talking about how, it's going, because that's what it is. It's supposed to be a worthwhile, effectively commercial for what they're doing. So they can get really good media to share and make it happen. So we're talking about it, and the Lycan's obviously pretty high end. That's an unusual build. And when you own a big body shop, your bread and butter is doing normal cars. And he's like, well, it's high end. I'd like to be able to showcase our ability to do other things. And I said, well, I tell you what. So it's not much effort for you, but a way to showcase that, and it's also a way for me to test to make sure they don't suck before I bring in the Lycan. I said, I've got some race car body work. If you want to shoot that, I can bring you the body work and we'll see and showcase that for just an easier, normal, run-of-the-mill paint job. So we do that. I take him the bodywork of my Formula car and actually shoot the prototype car as well. And we change the colors, so it's pretty obvious that they, got painted and all. And so he does that. Everything's cool. And I bring him the Lycan. Now, truth be told, the paint they did on those two cars, not that good. I'll be perfectly honest. I hate to say it, but the colors were on different thicknesses and they don't really match that well. And they did a really quickie job in some places where this, it's cracking. So I'm like, this kind of not that great, but I was trying to do them a solid so I don't have to put much work out, and this is kind of didn't need it, so I'm not really going to complain. But I definitely would complain if I had to pay for it. So hopefully the Lycan will be good. They can't be crazy enough not to do it. So a little time goes by, and I call him, I'm texting him, and I'm like, what's going on here? And this is where it gets crazier. So all of a sudden, a manager for the place calls me and leaves a message about getting payment for the Formula car body, the race car bodies. And I'm like, what? So I text the dude who owns the place. I'm like, why is your manager writing me about paying for this stuff? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'll take care of it. So I'm like, that was weird. Maybe it's just a miscommunication. It can happen when you got a big place. They didn't know and thought it was a build-out thing or something. So the Lycan's there, and he tells me they're ordering composites and things for it that they need to get going. Meanwhile, time's going by, and I'll leave a message. I'm like, dude, this cannot just be an ad infinitum project that goes on. We have to actually get this thing done, or it's just going to screw everybody, and it's not going to be helpful. And I'm like, something's not right here, and start pushing harder and pushing harder. And so the guy's like, yeah, we just can't do it. And I'm like, what? And I go off. I go off because they have blown 2 months with the car done. And I know you guys out there that are hobbyists, it's like, well, it's 2 months, Casey, it's a big job. No, this is a non-profit. This is a deal with business. I could have been out getting it done, painting it ourselves, working on it. I mean, they destroyed 2 months of our thing. So basically, the guy could take it, get a lot of publicity for the effort, And at the end, you just tell me no. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you agreed to this. You're screwing us. You know, you're screwing Genius Garage. You're screwing me. Everything just to go. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm doing you a favor. And just totally sleazeball shiesty. And I know, I wasn't there, but for the last 2 months, he's been walking every client in there, showing them the Lycan. Look what a big deal we are. It's famous, and they chose us to paint it, and we're so great. And look at this. It's a big, expensive $1 million car, and blah, blah, blah. And that's what they've been doing for the last 2 months. And then they just take it out of here. It's done. And it blows my mind how crappy people can be. And I even have to be mindful that these people don't come after me if I say something negative about it. I mean, you'd like to be able to shank people now and then, right? So here's where it gets good, where the story is total BS. Come to find out, the dude who owns the place that told me doesn't own the place. He just works there. And he talks a big game and schmoozes people into thinking it, and to get things like that happen. So my guess is he can just kind of do something on the side and do a lot of favors and stuff and act like a big shot. To what end, I don't know. It's not my life. So I'm going up there to get the car the heck out of there. And I've got a much better deal with far better people to make it happen. But it's a scary world out there. And just because I do YouTube and been around the world for racing and such, doesn't mean there's not totally crappy people that still play their third-rate con bullshit social positioning games that will screw you over. And sometimes it just happens. So you gotta watch it, go with your gut, be mindful. And the sad thing is, the last couple of times things like this have happened is because somebody referred me to them. So you think it's okay, you go by that. And maybe those people, in the case of last year with Genius Garage and starting it and selling the Batmobile, that person was up for a rude awakening too. Those people sucked. And now the gentleman that's helping me right now and actually holding the camera that referred me to this person, he was in for a rude awakening too with people of how that happened. So hang in there, guys, but that's what's up with the Lycan. We're getting it out of there and gonna get it painted somewhere much better. It's gonna be a really cool year for Genius Garage. And also Genius Garage had some nice people supporting it, and a really cool collaboration coming up that I can't announce publicly yet. That's coming out, but it'll relate to open wheel cars. And just some really good opportunities for the students in being able to forward their careers and do good builds. And hopefully we can get by crappy relationships and just keep going on with the positive ones. But at the end of the day, guys, it all just comes down to reputations and forming positive relationships and keep going. So I'm not looking forward to this. And actually I tell you, I had a crappy morning. I got up early to go load this up. There's a load of snow. There's a 2-wheel drive truck with a big trailer. I hate driving trucks and I hate driving trailers. And I wasn't looking forward to this day because I don't know how these lunatics are gonna be. So I had a quick bowl of cereal this morning. I was up early and made a cappuccino and have some water, and I start driving, and I have a sip of this cappuccino. I'm like, I don't feel good. I'm kind of nauseous. And I take a sip of water and it goes away. And I don't get nauseous, okay? The last time I vomited was on the clipper ship Stad Amsterdam, which is a 3-masted square rig clipper ship on the North Sea in nasty water when I wasn't used to it. And I thought I was really cool, and I would have coffee and like a cigarette with the Europeans. And then we hit rough water and I'm like, oh God, kill me now. So that was one, but I didn't even throw up when I went flying with the Thunderbirds. And I made it through that, yes, like a boss. However, this morning, I thought I just had to spit, and I let everything in my stomach out. But fortunately, it was at a dealership where I pulled over. So that's my morning. It's going brilliantly. This may be the end of the video, or I'm gonna come back and tell you if it went well or not. Anytime. Okay, guys, I am back. I did get the Lycan. It's fine. It's exactly the same as when we brought it up there. I was all worried about everything. I'm sure the guys showed it off a lot, but it's back in one piece and everything is cool. It is kind of funny though, when you read body language and see it is, I think the guy got his ass handed to him by owners and real corporate and everything else. So we're off and on to it. But another thing just to mind for anybody young or anybody out there living your life, don't screw people. Karma's kind of a thing. And then what happens, what I just found out, the dude that screwed Genius Garage early on last year with the place that may or may not sell cars just got arrested at an airport. So if you're a crappy person, stuff does happen. I have to admit, I did take a little schadenfreude in that. But onwards and upwards, just keep good relationship with worthwhile people and do the best you can, guys. And I look forward for the next journey, get this Lycan painted and finished up, and do some cool stuff with the students and get them jobs. See you guys next time. Cool thing happening right now at the Packard American Motor Company. They're debuting their very first watch. This is the 1899 Model A. It's a mechanical automatic movement with a beautiful stainless steel case. All the parts are made in Switzerland and it's assembled right here in the United States. If you happen to have a Packard, you can get your serial number engraved right on it, but you guys need to go to packardamerica.us. This particular watch is mine. I'm looking very forward to wearing it more. It's frankly very comfortable, one of the best watches I've ever had. But this one's mine, not yours. You can't have it. Get your own. packardamerica.us.